All honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakal Kodash, our power, right? This your brother Ram Kamar Bon Yahweh with the lesson. This is Proverbs chapter 11, verse 15. He that is surety for a stranger, right? So let's go into that definition of surety.
Strong's H 6148. Arav.
Right? Arav says to pledge, to exchange, mortgage, engage, occupy, undertake, take for, give, pledge, right? So this is Deuteronomy 24:10. So this gives you more of the meaning of what pledge means. It says, when thus doest lend thy brother anything, thus shall not go into his house to flinch his pledge, right? So I believe that's that. Let's just go into flinch, I believe. Right?
Strong's H 5670. Avat.
It says avat, to take a pledge, to give a pledge, right? For a debt, right? So that's the meaning of pledge. Basically, it's basically to give, to basically a debt. That's why I said when you go to this, it says when thus does lend thy brother. What's a lend? Lend is like you letting them, basically you putting them in debt. I'm gonna lend you this, but it's gonna be a debt to you, right? Anything thus shall not give and go into his house to flinch his pledge, right? Which is basically take his stuff because he owe you a debt. But that's what the so-called white man does, right? To you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, right? They'll come and confiscate your possessions because you owe them a debt. To give you a little bit better angle, to see how the hand is, just to show you that all the thumb twisting is just to kind of throw you off. See? So this is right here is an example of different forms of Freemason Illuminati handshakes, right? These are things to let, for the other person who's above or higher. Right? See how the thumb goes by where the knuckles are at. Right? I mean, that's where they got the little twiddling of the thumb thing from. Just to kind of add it in there. Right? But there's like different levels. Of master masons or mark masons or mark master mason, right? Yeah, so go back into this Proverbs 11:15. It says, he that is surety for a stranger shall smart for it. Let's go and look up that definition. Smart for it. Shall smart.
Strong's H 7321. Ruah. Ruah.
Ruah. Ruah. To shout, rise a sound, cry out, give a blast. It says, oh, this one right here. To shout a war cry or alarm of battle. To sound a signal for war or march, right? To shout in triumphant over enemies, right? Right. And it says, so, and he that hateth assured to ship, sure to ship is sure, right? Which is basically goes into what? A pledge, which is debt. You know what I mean? When you hate debt, it makes you more sure. You make sure you basically you stay out of someone else's pockets, basically, right? Because they basically that's what it's saying. When you in debt, someone else basically gets the victory over you. They get the win over you because now you're in debt to a stranger, which is not of your household, of your lineage, right? Who's a non-Israelite. Yeah, and it says he that is surety, right, which goes into debt, takes debt from for a stranger, shall smart for it, and he that hateth suretyship is sure, right? So let's look at that suretyship. Suretyship.
Strong's H 8628. Takah. Takah.
Takah. Takah means to blow, to clap, to strike, sound, thrust, give a blow, blast, to thrust, drive of a weapon. Says to give a blast, give a blow, to strike or clap hands, right? So that's important right there, that clap hands, right? This is the same verse. This is Proverbs 11:15, but it's in the CEB. And it says, guaranteeing the debt, right? Like I was saying, it's basically like a debt. Like it's a pledge is like to borrow money, to basically put someone to debt. To guarantee the debt of a stranger brings big trouble, right? So that's where it was part where it was saying somewhat smart, but it brings trouble, bringing big trouble, right? Because if you borrow money, it didn't do nothing but make trouble for you, right? And this is the part what I was getting to. But one who refuses to shake hands, right? Which how that last one we just seen, where it said clap hands. You know, when you shake hands, it's almost like like clapping hands together, right? Will be secure, right? Because you're not lining yourself up with them, right? And these are these things that these the elites actually do behind closed door, is make these deals to basically so-called give you freedoms, but your freedoms are things just to put you in debt, right? Proverbs chapter 6, verse 13. He winketh with his eyes, right? So let's look up that word, winketh.
Strong's H 7169. Karats. Karats.
Karats, right? To narrow, form, nip, pinch, squeeze, wink, right? Let's skip down. Says Karats, cream, root. Let's see. To bite the lip. It says blink the eyes, or as a gesture of malice. Gesture. Okay. Let's look up that gesture of malice. Gesture. Says a gesture, right?
Gesture.
A moment of parts of the body, especially the hands, especially a hand or the head, to express an idea or meaning, right? So these are so-called gestures, right? Which actually comes from the Illuminati. That's like the pyramid, right? The Illuminati pyramid. Because all these actually mean things, right? Like the peace is actually the cross that's broken. It actually goes into what do you call it? Witchcraft or devil worshiping, right? Like witchcraft basically. It's basically these Freemasons or things that step into more of the witchcrafting. So the peace sign in itself is actually like the cross upside down with the cross broken down, which is actually witchcraft, right? So most people count this as something small. People make gestures with their hands all the time. But when it comes to the elites, their gestures with their hands, it's all methodical. Yeah, so that's like the handshake, like the Illuminati has. Go back to this Proverbs 6 and 13. He speaketh with his feet, right? Which goes into, talking about the certain gestures, certain things. He teacheth with his fingers, right? Let's see what it says when it says with his fingers.
Strong's H 676. As bad. As bad.
That's bad. Oh, don't give you much. Fingers, toes. Let's see if you go into the root. Die. No, it's like dying something. Yeah, it doesn't give you much, just finger toes. And so then this Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19. Lest thus lift up thy eyes unto heaven, and when thus seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldst be driven to worship them, right? Should you be driven to worship them, right? And to serve them, which Yahweh thy power have divided unto all nations under all heaven, which is on earth, right? So all the other nations are meant to worship like the sun, right? Which they do that with Sunday. You're going to church on Sunday, or even Saturn, or Saturn, which is Saturday, which is Saturnilius, which goes into Satan, right? Or the moon, which goes into, these so-called customs and things that worship the moon, like Islam, right? And that's basically the same thing that Fred and Barney Rubble have on their hat, which is basically the moon, the sun and the moon, right? They just have it in a different way. It's basically the same thing like what the Islamic people, basically, which goes to the other nations, right? Which is another custom, something like Esau always does, right? Because these are basically the Edomites, right? Because they dwell in the cliffs of the rocks, which is the so-called white man. See, and you can see right here that that's actually what, like, the sun and the moon. But see, they have like the thing, like upside down or whatever. Because you know how like the Muslim, they have the thing like sideways. They'll have the moon this way and then the sun be the other way. So instead they put it, upside down. So the thing under it is like the moon and the other thing's the sun. So they're showing you that's like the moon and the sun worship, which belongs to the other nations and not you Israelites. Yeah, so this is Obadiah chapter 1, verse 1. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith Yahweh power, according to Edom, which is the self-proclaimed so-called white man, right? When Esau and Jacob were born, Esau came out first, which is his brother, red all over, like an hairy garment, right? Because they dyed rams or beavers or whatever cattle, they dyed their skin red. You know what I mean? They dyed it red, So we have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye and lift us, raise up. Let us rise up, Salakia, against her in battle, right? Because all the other nations are going to come against you. Behold, I have made thee small amongst the heathen, right? And all the other nations that you have stole their nationality, you have stole their customs, even your allies. You know what I mean? Turkey is supposed to be an ally, but you wouldn't sell him the Patriot missile. But then when they buy the missile from Russia, you're upset about it. Ain't you the nation that's in debt? Why wouldn't you sell it to them? Right? Ain't they supposed to be your ally of NATO? Right? So the heathens are going to be mad at you. The other heathens, you're going to be small, which means despised, looked down upon. Right? I have made thee small amongst the heathen, thus are greatly despised, right? Which basically means looked down upon. You're despised. The pride of thy heart have deceived thee, right? Because they got these secret handshakes. They got their so-called Freemasonry, which basically goes, basically the Illuminati and Freemason. They're pretty much the same thing, right? Because they stem off from each other. So they're proud about that. They know their heart, which is lob, which is in their mind. They have this pride in their mind. Their thoughts are lofty. Thus, that dwelleth in the cliffs of the rocks, right? So I'm showing you this because this is basically Esau as far as bedrock. Bedrock is basically showing that they're the caveman, right? And the Lord said, unless there be a falling away and that wicked be revealed, right? Then the end shall come, the son of perdition. Once the son of perdition be revealed, then the end will come. And so we're revealing him through this. As you can see that even someone drew a little cartoon right there. And you see how they have the basically like the Freemason thing. So there's people who know, man. That whole thing with them being at the lodge and all that other stuff goes back to that. And they know that this basically, the Fred Flintstone is basically, that's really actually Esau. So that's what it said. He that dwelt in the cliffs, thus that dwelleth in the cliffs of the rocks, right? Which is basically caves, who habitation is high, right? In the mountains, that saith in his heart, which is in your mind, right? Which is lob in the Hebrew, who shall bring me down to the ground, right? Right? And this proves that it's the so-called white man, especially the one that's live here in America, right? Thus exalt thyself as the eagle, right? When you go to Spain, Portugal, London, France, Germany, Russia, right? And then you can go back to the older Edomite customs, Greek, Roman, they all use the eagle, right? Which is a so-called self-proclaimed white man, Esau Edom, who's the caveman, which is basically bedrock, which is basically Fred and Barney Rubble. They're the caveman. They're Esau Edom, and showing you that they're the Freemasons, that they're the Illuminati, right? Though the set thy nest amongst the stars, right? They have the international space stations, right? And then another thing that their nest is amongst the stars because what? They live amongst you Israelites, right? You're the Lord's stars, right? When Joseph had the dream of the stars and they bowed down to him, that was talking about what? Israel, right? So the Israelites are stars. Matter of fact, there's another scripture that says something about those that turn people to righteousness shall shine like stars. So you're the stars, the Israelites, based starting with the elect of the nation of Israel, of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakal, Qudash. And it said the nets on high amongst the stars, which thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh, right? And that's the thing that's going to happen to you, man. The Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, is going to bring you down. Yeah. And as you can see, someone drew like, basically it's Freemason. And they know that's what that is, like that lodge, what it means, Bedrock Lodge, the Buffalo Lodge. Yeah, so this is like that Freemason simulation, Freemason symmetry, basically. I don't know if they had an episode like that, but I would like to see that if that exists. I just know that whole thing with the lodge thing is basically like the backstory is that's really actually a Freemason lodge. So, and with all that, I want to give all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakal Kwadash, our power. Double honors to the elders from Abba Bibbins on down, to the elders that rule well today. Salutations and salute to the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom to the Aqua that's listening and learning, and death to America.